Okay, welcome to episode 5 of Millennials. And as you guys know, on Millennials and we love to celebrate years past and give them their proper shine. And in this episode is no different. We want to take a look back at one of the biggest milestone years of our lifetime, 1990.
Oh!
Before we even go doing a complete deep dive into this, I am Law. This is my lovely co-host, Raven. And this is the Millennials and podcast. With that being said, let's get into the 90s. We'll start with doing a few fast facts. So, Raven, before I even get into the fast facts, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, you were what, 5?
I was 5. I was 4 going on 5 because my birthday's in June. So I was 4 going on 5.
When I hit you with these fast facts, just tell me if any of these like hit you a little. If you're like, oh, I remember that. Fast fact 1. Average income was $29,000 back then.
Well, I was making no income at 5, so no.
Gotcha. Fast fact 2. Minimum wage was $3.80.
Ridiculous. I don't even want to leave out the house for $3.80 a minute, let alone an hour. What? No. Negative.
I actually feel like $3.80 couldn't even get you a croissant wedge from Burger King. So I don't even know. I don't understand. Okay, right. Next. Average cost of a house, $79,000.
Today that would be a shack. That would literally be 2 boards together.
You could, depending on the neighborhood and depending on the state, you could get something off for $79,000. You could. You can get a condo in North Carolina for like $90,000.
This is a house, not a condo.
My whole point is it's a living space.
Yes, but a house is not a condo.
Anyway, cost for a car back then, $15,400.
You would be able to have a car today that did not have automatic windows for $15,000.
That's not true. That's not true. Okay. She is dragging it. She's making it sound like you cannot, like $15,000, even today, you'd be able, I don't know if you get a new car, but you can get something good for $15,000.
You can. It's not going to be new. Like the price of cars are going up. And even used cars. Used car inventory in the pandemic is like negative 35. So they is paying a lot of money for a used car. So if you're ready to upgrade, girl, go get you a new car. Okay.
But here's the weirdest part. Back then, the cost for gas was $1.34.
You cannot find that anywhere in the country today.
What are y'all paying over there in Texas right now?
It's, I think, around 3 something, which is still pretty cheap. It's like 3 something, maybe. It's not quite 4. We go to Costco, so it's like 3 something.
In Michigan, we're at $3.50. It's gonna be similar. There's no way it's that. It's cheaper. Okay.
No, I think it's around like $3.50-ish, 3 something. It's 3 something. I just put it in the tank.
The best-selling book back then in 1990 was Jurassic Park. No shocker there. Jurassic Park was that deal. This is Spielberg making the movie, which happens another 2.5 years from then. Yep. But that book was absolute fire, so I respect it. And then another one, the first website was published that year. So before this,
Insanity.
There's no websites that exist.
Insanity.
Shout out to 1990 for even the fast facts, like for real.
Okay.
But then we have one more that's going to get us into the movies. Do you know what the average ticket price for a movie was back then?
I know it wasn't $17 like today.
The average ticket price for a movie in 1990 was $4.22.
That sounds about right. Like if you only make it, you can't even work an hour and get a movie ticket. That's a shame.
That is true. That is true. You'd have to at least work an hour and 30 minutes to really pay that off after taxes. Okay. With that being said, movie-wise, And let's take a trip down memory lane.
Yes.
I want to cover some of the movies that were released during that time and your quick take.
They had some good ones, honey.
The biggest box office movie during that time was Home Alone.
Yes. Home Alone was that girl in 1990.
Even in 1990, though, I felt like I could do what Kevin was doing in that movie. Definitely. Like what Macaulay Culkin, all the traps being laid out the whole night, I thought I could do it. I was like, oh, yeah.
Every child knew this is what was, if there was a home invasion, we now had the tools to thwart said home invasion. Okay? I don't know anybody's parents who was leaving them home alone on a family trip, but we knew if it happened to us, we now had the tools to survive.
But here was the weird part. When we were little, why didn't we view them as negligent parents? I don't know why we were all just like, oh, this is fire. Like he's just at home by himself and gets to enjoy everything.
Living his life, okay? I think because as kids, we all wanted that to happen. We all wanted our parents to be gone for an extended amount of time. So we didn't have no bedtime. We could eat what we wanted. We could have ice cream for breakfast, anything, like no rules. Every child wanted that. So they was like, Kevin is living the dream.
In real life, you cannot live this dream without having a certain amount of money on you, right? Like you had to have parents that were balling, or you had to have a card, or he was ordering pizza. Like he was out here going grocery shopping. Well, the grocery bags did break, but you get me.
I'm now trying to figure out how he was doing this if he was supposed to be on vacation with them. Like, where's this money coming from? Because they should have all the money with them because they on vacation.
He was taking money from out of this little canister. And a lot of plot holes.
Yeah.
Okay. Next movie up on deck was Ghost. Any memories of this?
I remember Whoopi was in it. She looked amazing. And then the pottery scene. That's what I remember most about Ghost. I did not watch it the year it was released.
I remember Whoopi winning a supporting actress nod, and I was happy because I was rooting for everybody that was Black at the time when I was little. I was like, yeah, like I was excited as if I won something. Like that was how I felt about it. All right, next up movie with Pretty Woman. Did you watch this as a kid?
I feel like I did watch it as a kid because I remember I didn't watch it in 1990, but I remember watching it when I was like younger. Like I didn't go to the movies and watch it.
Oh yeah, you can watch the movie about the prostitute.
I didn't watch it in the movies, but I remember it because it's not like I watched it like in my 20s for the first time. I remember watching it at some point and was like, oh my gosh, Julia Roberts. Like the main thing for me was like she went shopping and then the people tried to dismiss her. And then she came back with the bags and was like, big mistake. Okay. And I was like, yes, Julia, let them know.
I could never get into the Pretty Women bit because my dad was like, this is just not real life, son. He was straight up like, nah, this is not how things happen. Nah.
He's like,
he was saying stuff at an early age. He's like, you can't turn into a housewife. And I'm like, I didn't even know what that meant yet, right? I'm like, oh, okay. Whatever that means.
Okay, son, don't be going looking for the prostitutes, okay?
Next up on the list, though, this was the one for me in 1990. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Everybody loves Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was actually, fun fact, okay? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures were the #1 top Christmas toy in 1990, and rightfully so, okay? That was the movie, okay? Like, I don't know why we didn't think that rat was disgusting because he was looking real mangy, but...
I dead was going to say the same thing. I'm like, we all was cool with the fact that their master was a rat, and New York City has more rats than people, which is a weird thing. And on top of that, they had a pizza fetish, right? Yep. Like, it didn't matter what time of day, it didn't matter how they were going to steal the pizza and or call for a pizza in a location where there wasn't an actual drop-off place and have the guy surrounding like a sewer and then hand the pizza off.
Yep, and just snatch it.
That's not happening. That's not happening.
Then there was Splinter, you know what I'm saying? There was a reporter lady. It was a whole
April O'Neil
thing. Okay. And
April
then they had a
O'Neil.
TV show. That's what I remember was the cartoon that was the predecessor to the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was
So basically back in the day though, they create the cartoon in order for them to be able to put out the toy in reverse. Yep. So then they can make all this profit off of that. But I didn't care what anybody says. The Ninja Turtles were everything. I actually thought I was Donatello. In fact, they're the only reason why I cared about these art names. Like Donatello, Leonardo, like I would have never cared. No kid would have cared.
My thing was, I thought you were going to say they're the reason why I was interested in karate. I would have like, oh, okay.
No. Bruce Lee. And I know that's not necessarily 1990, but Bruce Lee was the reason why I was interested in karate. Okay. Nobody could tell me anything about Bruce Lee. And then Bruce Leroy came in Last Dragon. Y'all don't know about Last Dragon, but one more movie I want to mention. I want to see where your head is with this. Do you remember Kindergarten Cop?
Of course.
Who was it?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I don't feel like most people remember this movie. So
that was the movie.
On top of your head, I don't feel like that's a memorable thing from the 90s that people like go back to. And I felt like it was going to be really niche and you're going to be like, what?
No. That was like one of the first movies that he did where he was like with kids. So it was like, you see this action star going into these kid movies. He's the reason why Vin Diesel can do what he did. You know what I'm saying? Like Arnold was the predecessor. Okay. So he was like, it was like, oh my gosh, the guy who's the Terminator is now in this kindergarten session. Like, what's going on with this? Let me watch this. Kindergarten Cop was the movie. He was undercover. Okay. Like,
I really thought that could happen in real life too. But come on now.
I think that anytime someone's undercover, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
The last movie that I'm going to bring up, and this is kind of a notable honoree, if you will, House Party. That was the movie for me that was the most impactful of 1990.
House Party was amazing. Again, not appropriate for me to watch at 5, but it was an amazing movie.
Here's what House Party did for me. It did one of two things. One, it made me feel like if I was to ever do this, throw a real house party, I knew exactly how I was going to do it. You got to have a DJ booth. Your parents can't
here be is home. The blueprint.
Yeah, like they set everything up. Your parents can't be home. Y'all got to have at least one dance choreographed before you start the party. Like don't act like you don't remember that dance. Don't act like you never tried that at home by yourself. Don't act like you never.
The choreographed dance was quintessential to almost any Black movie. Like at some point, somebody was having some kind of choreographed dance move at a party. Okay. So yes, you needed to have the little 2-step, a little like, oh, because then that's what got the girl that you was looking at watching you like.
But this is the other thing that House Party did for me. It really showed and it dimensionalized the Black experience in film, because it was the first time I got to see my lived experience on screen in a real way, where when it came down to discipline, and his father was very much, if you ain't in by a certain time, you are mine. I'm like, oh.
Kid and Play, they were an amazing duo in the 90s. Like they gave us some very iconic films and
hairstyle. The hairstyle, don't forget.
Hairstyle, yes, definitely the hairstyle. Your honorable mention for 1990 is House Party. Yeah. Mine would have to be Edward Scissorhands, because Johnny Depp was just like my dude. You know what I'm saying? So, and Edward Scissorhands was my movie back then. So shout out to that, coming out in 1990.
Here's my thing though. I felt like when I watched Edward Scissorhands when I was younger, he was representative of what it was to be a minority in an all-white space.
Yep.
That's how I felt. Like genuine. He was in a suburbia and people were like, weird hands. He's off a little. He's different. I don't know if I like that. And I was like, oh, this is really giving you what it would be like to be a minority in this situation. All the while finding out later in life that Tim Burton doesn't really want to necessarily write a story where Black people are the protagonists in the story. He's like, I mean, that's not necessary. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, none of his things have Black people in it, now that we think about it. So,
Let's move on to 90s TV shows, because I think this is where the 90s really has its, like specifically 1990, has its hey. Yeah. I don't think there's any other year that may compare to some of the things that dropped during that year. But the most watched TV show at the time was Cheers. Now, I ain't gonna hold you. I never liked Cheers.
I liked it because it was like, it was the place where everybody knew your name. Now, did I watch it all the time? No. But
what did you like about Cheers?
Why was I watching Cheers at 5? I don't know. But it was just like, I liked, because the guy who owned the bar, him and the girl, they kind of got together after like a few seasons. Everybody knew your name. That's where Frasier made his debut. Like, it was, there was a lot of things that happened on Cheers. But I'm just saying, like, again, I watched a lot of white shows. I watched Cheers, Taxi, all of these things growing up. So, it is what it is.
Next thing you're going to tell me you watched MASH when you were growing up. Like, what is that?
I did used to watch MASH.
Don't tell nobody else that. Don't tell nobody else you watch.
Well, I done told everybody now, but I did. Like, I didn't watch it like religiously, but I do remember watching MASH on the TV. Like, but it would be like late at night for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, I remember it would come on.
I mean, she went way out there. Here's what I'm gonna say: the shows that dropped in 1990 that I was actually influenced by.
First of all, I was watching these shows too. Okay,
I don't know.
Also watching together.
MASH. You was probably watching Dragnet too. Anyway.
What was that? No, I think I've heard of it. Anyways.
The shows that I feel like still to this day they have an impact. One was The Fresh Prince.
Yes.
That dropped in September of 1990. I don't care what anybody says. That's one of the top sitcoms of all time. If that's not in your top 10, you just don't like TV. And that's cool.
No, it is an amazing comedic show. But that scene where Will is talking about his dad, every single time, tear. I'm like I ain't never seen the show before. Like, I ain't never seen the episode. That scene will get me every time. That's
a top 5 episode all time. I am in complete agreement with that. I think The Fresh Prince had such a cultural stamp because of several reasons. One, the way he dressed, and by he, I mean Will Smith, the way he dressed, people tried to emulate that all the time. Yeah. And to this day, somewhat, people still try to emulate some of the looks he was pulling back then. Then number 2, I've never seen culturally people try to gravitate towards something in a way they did with him, whether it was the handshakes or the way him and Carlton kind of spar back and forth. Yep. People would steal jokes from them. The only thing that I did not like about the show was how they treated Jazz. That's it. I loved everything else about the show, but how they treated Jazz was just disrespectful. And anytime he was going to get thrown out of the house, he was always in the same exact shirt because they didn't want to have to reshoot that scene. I ain't like it. I ain't like that. He didn't deserve that. And he should have been able to date Hillary.
Well, we knew that wasn't going to happen. But it just wasn't. You talk about realistic pairings all the time, okay? And you think that this is a realistic pairing?
The way that he would drink her bathwater, yes. But
okay. And Hillary was not into him. It's not a realistic pairing.
Okay, we're not going to do this. So anyway. Trevor's a better match. That's what
Trevor died. Let's not talk about the dead,
okay? Anyway, another show that was released in 1990 that to me really stamped that entire era, and to me may be the best show of the era, was In Living Color.
No, I definitely watched In Living Color at 5. I was trying to stay up and watch it. I remember vividly trying to stay up and watch In Living Color, and my mother was like, "Ma'am, negative. Go to bed."
In Living Color is difficult because now, with the lens that we have on it from the 2020 up perspective, people feel so different about the show now. They're like, it's so problematic, it's so wrong. But at the time, they were making jokes that at the time were okay to make.
Yes, and some of them are quite relevant today. Like, not all of them, but some of them are quite relevant today, where you're just like, you could literally make the same joke and it would be hilarious.
This is the thing. Nobody could tell me that Fire Marshal Bill wasn't funny. Nobody could tell me
Homie the Clown. What?
Shanae wasn't funny. Homie the Clown wasn't funny. Like him hitting somebody over the head with something and saying, "Homie, don't play that." It just worked. There's no getting around it. Y'all can act like it didn't work. But
the jail hotep.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I get it. I get it though. A lot of it doesn't land today, but that's how comedy works in general. Normally, something that worked in one decade doesn't work in the next. But anyway, so a few other shows that came out during that time. Do you remember Blossom?
Yes, Joey. Whoa, of course.
Who was Blossom's friend? Do you remember?
Six.
Oh, you don't remember? Oh, she did remember. Ah!
Don't try me. Don't try me.
Okay. I loved Blossom for Joey saying, "Whoa." I don't know if you remember that.
That he was, I had on Joey, honey, back in the day. Yes.
Did you?
Joey was it back in the day. Him and his brothers.
I thought back in the day, the only guy that had women like thrown for a loop was Uncle, what's his name from Full House? Was it Uncle Jesse?
Jesse. He was also attractive, but Joey was it, honey. That's why he got his own.
Did Joey have a moment? Y'all was looking at that? I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a thing back then.
He had a whole sitcom with him and his brothers.
He was considered a heartthrob. I
gotta go. This is why they brought out Melissa and Joey. Okay, because that man, they was like, let's bring back Joey. It's fine.
No, women gave that to old boy from Full House. That was who got the energy.
Yes, but they also, younger women also gave the energy to Joey from Blossom.
That's a whole nother episode because I don't remember them having that kind of. I remember people liking AC Slater from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah,
and they like Jack Morris.
That's why he's still relevant today. You know what I'm saying? That's why he still got his career. So he's still getting, like, he just came right off the football field.
I remember him having it. And then the dudes from Beverly Hills 90210, which is another show that came out in 1990.
I didn't ever watch the original.
At all?
I never like a few ones.
Was it because you were too young?
I don't know if I just was never into it, like, because I never even went back to watch it. Like, I watched the reboot, but I just never watched that or like Melrose Place. I was like, I just wasn't into these white people's lives. I was into other white people's lives, but just not theirs.
I could tell you the show that I didn't like that dropped back then, and I know everybody else was watching it, Law and Order. And it's because I was like 6-7 years old.
I didn't get Law and Order till later. It was later.
But no.
The show that I was into that came out, okay, there's a few, but Are You Afraid of the Dark was my jam. Okay. That was my show.
What was that on? Like Nickelodeon, it was on Nickelodeon, but they had their own like specific time period where that came on. Nick at Night, maybe. I don't know.
I don't think Nick at Night was always like the reruns of like the old shows, but it came in, I think, like prime time of Nickelodeon.
The same way TGIF was a thing when Are You Afraid of the Dark came on. It was a conglomerate of shows that came on just during that time period. Yeah, I loved Are You Afraid of the Dark. I also loved Goosebumps back in the day, but Goosebumps was not released in this year. Y'all probably don't remember Goosebumps though. What about cartoons? Do you remember Tailspin?
Of course. Oh my gosh. Tailspin was I used to love the Disney Channel, okay? The Disney Channel was on all the time. So yes, Tailspin.
This is what I'm talking about. This is why I keep telling y'all she was rich. She had the Disney Channel. Like, I'm watching all this stuff on trial.
You perked up about Tailspin too, so clearly you had to watch it.
I only got to see Tailspin when it was on like Fox. Like if they had it on Fox, cool, I got to watch it, but I didn't have it if it was on the Disney Channel. See? Anyway, last show to bring up. Supermarket Sweep.
You could not tell me I was not about to be on Supermarket Sweep. You could not tell me back in the day that when I grew up, I was not about to be on Supermarket Sweep. Like when you're younger, you have no concept of shows ending or being canceled. So in my mind, I was like, okay, so when I'm old enough, I'm gonna go on Supermarket Sweep. And I knew the strategy. I said, these people are doing it wrong. Like I was like, this, you gotta go down this aisle, then you gotta go do this, then this is where the bigger price. I knew, look, I was mapping that store out, ready for my chance to be on Supermarket Sweep.
I love that you still have this energy after all these years towards the show. She's like, if y'all call me right now.
If they call me today between Supermarket Sweep and the one with the mall, I would be ready. Okay, ready.
It's not easy. I feel like you in your mind, you think this will be
But
an easy thing.
I would have my cart. Okay, I am a pro shopper. Okay, my job is to shop pretty much for a living. Okay, so this is how much I like to shop back then, that this was one of my favorite shows. So I was like, oh, you got to get a run. Okay, so then you got to do these people. Okay. These people wasn't ready like I was ready.
All right, moving along to music.
Yep.
In 1990, the biggest selling album during that year, which wasn't released in that year, was Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation 1814. If y'all didn't watch the Lifetime documentary on her, go take a look at that. It gives you a real insight into like how that whole thing was put together and a lot of the kind of tumultuous BS she was dealing with being a Black woman at the time and creating art that would last the test of time, essentially.
Yes.
Anyway, so that was the biggest album that was released in terms of sales. But in terms of the songs that actually debuted during that year, let's get into it. I don't care who you are. I don't care what party function you've been. If you lived in New York for even 4 or 5 years, you've heard this song. My number one song that was released during that time was Belle Biv DeVoe, Poison. Nobody can tell me anything about Poison. If y'all don't know Poison,
I don't care if you lived in New York. If you do not know Poison, especially as a Black person, okay, a millennial Black person, you have lived under a rock, okay? You grew up in the outskirts of Canada. I don't know, but you literally have never had the radio, ever.
Those drum kicks to this day, when those drum kicks drop,
you already know. First 2 beats, literally first 2 notes. You like this is it. That girl was Poison. Yes, she was. Okay. Like, you already know.
I swear to you, the first 2 lines in that song, I feel like is some of the most memorable lines. In fact, I feel like that song probably has more memorable lines than almost any other song during the 90s.
It was amazing.
You can't trust a big button to smile, which is not okay to say, but I understand. I understand.
He's like, where you coming from? Okay.
That song was huge.
Yeah.
And I thought they were gonna be one-hit wonders. And then they released the song called Do Me. Now, if y'all don't know that song, go check it out. But I'm not gonna spend very much time on them. I want to see if I could jog your memory on these songs. Because I have a feeling that some of this might miss you because it happened a long time ago and you were like 5 at the time.
Okay.
I remember all of this, by the way. First,
he was only a year older than me. So, okay, let's go.
Wait. Do you remember Hold On by En Vogue?
I'm horrible with the names of songs, so I would have to hear it to be like, okay, yes, I remember.
Exactly. You don't.
But I'm horrible with the names of songs now. Shall you tell me the name of like
huge? It was huge.
I'm gonna pull it up because I'm just horrible with the names of songs. You could literally be like, oh, such and such song from Cardi B, and I'm like, what? And then you start playing it, but oh, I know that song. Like, I don't know the names of songs. I just don't. So let's see.
I'm not gonna. We'll edit this part, y'all, but I'm not gonna let her fool y'all to make her think that she actually listened to it. No, she don't know the song.
I know about En Vogue.
I'm gonna wait until you play it before I go to the next song. This was huge.
told you I don't know the names of songs. Okay.
So Raven went back to go search for the song, and she has this to say now that she searched for the song. You do know it.
I do know the song. I told you I just don't know the names of songs. I know songs.
Okay, very good. Next up on the list, since you don't know the name of the song, I'm gonna be very disappointed if you don't remember this. This is a 90s staple. Pump Up the Jam by Technotronic.
Yes.
Do you remember this song?
Yes.
I, to this day, if this comes on, I don't care if I'm in the gym, I'm in a party, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I'm hyped as if I'm 6 years old again. I'm serious. I remember them putting this in Space Jam, and I was just like, oh, y'all stole my song. I felt like it was my song before it was put into Space Jam. I'm like, y'all didn't need to put this song in there.
Not y'all stole my song. He said, who? Nobody called me for this. Nobody called me for permission for this. Okay.
What do you remember? Do you remember that being played at sporting events, or do you remember somebody playing this around you?
I feel like I probably remember playing in cars and probably watching like on TV, like a sporting event. Like I don't remember going to many like professional basketball games and stuff like that when I was younger. I do remember the song though. Like, pump up the jam, pump it up. Like, you about to get the party started with Pump Up the Jam, honey.
All right. Here's one that's on a different level though. Do you remember All Around the World by Lisa Stanfield?
When I gotta pull it up, I told you I don't remember all
that. Been around the world and
yes.
I can't find my baby. Okay. All right. We're on a roll right now. Do you remember the song The Power by Snap? AKA I Got the Power.
Yes, I do know that song. Yes.
That to me, I think, again, in terms of iconic 90s songs, that has to be top 10. I feel like you could play that anywhere to this day, and if anybody knows that record, it makes people want to do something. I think that and Pump Up the Jam do the same thing to people. It has that effect on people.
So in my mind, when Pump Up the Jam comes on, you remember that movie with Brad Pitt where he was like, he played that trainer or that like bicycle dude. Do you remember that movie?
Oh yeah.
So you know the meme.
That was with him and The Rock and somebody else.
He's going like this in the thing because he's like hype. In my mind, that's you when the song come on.
To this day.
Yeah. That's absolutely. In my mind. I was just like, this is what he looks like.
All right, I'm gonna throw out quick songs to you, and you tell me yes, no. Do you remember? Back to Life.
Yes.
Soul to Soul. That was However Do You Want It. All right.
However do you need it.
Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice.
Of course.
You Can't Touch This. MC Hammer.
You need to finish.
I think that to me, again, in terms of iconic 90s songs, that's up there in top 10.
Yes.
Because they still use that in commercials to this day.
Loves MC Hammer. I used to watch his cartoon. Okay. Not everybody remembers the cartoon, but he had a cartoon. Used to watch it. Used to love MC Hammer. Yes. Them hammer pants. Iconic.
Hammer was just trending on Twitter because people saw a picture of him, and it resurfaces every 3 years, where he, Suge Knight, Snoop Dogg, and Tupac are all in the same picture. And for some reason, people always assume that he should not be in that picture with them. They always say, Hammer, he doesn't really belong in the picture with Tupac, Snoop, Suge. He doesn't really belong in that picture. What they don't realize is, by and large, rappers and the people around him all knew he was really about that action. They all knew. Hammer has so many stories that are out there, and yet he was the person that didn't need to put a hit on your head. He all he had to do was say a word, and people would have got you going. There's a reason why Hammer went broke. He was spending $100,000 on 30 different people to back him up. He was really the person that, like, if you from the hood, I got you.
Yeah.
Y'all telling me that man wouldn't get y'all out of the paint? Man, under 3,000, and Big Boy said it best. Run up on him if you want, he'll knock your ass out. Next up, though, do you remember the Humpty Dance by Digital Underground?
Do I remember the Humpty Dance?
What do you remember most about this? Because I know what I remember.
It's not really remember because clearly it's been played forever. But I just always remember, I was just like, dang, like, I feel like my booty is not big enough for this to dance to this song.
What? You're not serious.
I am.
That's the thing that you thought. Okay.
Not as like a little kid, because clearly I didn't know anything about butt size as a little kid. But
exactly.
Like, after that, once I realized, I was just like, well, dang, like I'm gonna still do it. But I ain't got
the thing I remember is one, his big fake nose that he had in the music video, right?
With the glasses.
Right. The secondary part of it was the dance, which I remember the Humpty dance. But then the third was once got busy in the Burger King bathroom. And I could never, ever, ever not remember that. I was like, but why?
Because that was where he had to do it.
That line in the song to me stands out to this day. And I was like, that's something in this lifetime I will never, ever do. Ever, under any circumstance. Absolutely not. It smells like onions and underarm all throughout Burger King. I absolutely am not doing anything where it smells like onions and underarm. No. A few more songs and we're done with this part of it. Do you remember? You probably do. Do you remember Just a Friend by Biz Markie?
Of course.
Do you prefer his version or Mario's?
You know, Mario is my baby daddy. So, you know, we got to give it to the Mario just because he was fine. And, but I do love like Biz's, I feel like they're just different. They're not the same. Like Biz's version is totally different than Mario's, but Mario is fine. Mario, if you watching this ever, call your girl. You know what I'm saying? Still wait on your call, Nelly. Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to throw out two more songs and we're done. Do you remember Everybody, Everybody by Black Box?
I don't know the name.
Everybody, everybody, everybody. You don't remember that?
Nothing. It sounds familiar. It does sound familiar.
Nothing comes to mind. This is hilarious. This is how I know that 1 year gap that we have. That 1 year
gap. No, I'm saying it does sound familiar. Let me see, because I feel like you're not doing the song justice.
And then there was another song called Get Up Before the Night Is Over by, again, Tektronic.
Sing the song.
I ain't gonna sing it. You said I didn't do a good job with Black Box. I'm not gonna do this again.
Ow. Yes.
Ow.
Okay, now what's this other one?
No, it's Get Up Before the Night Is Over.
I don't remember this.
Fast forward a little.
No, I don't know this song. I don't know the song. But fun fact, the first most liked comment said, I crashed my dad's car to this song in 91. The tape kept playing as we rolled down an embankment. Never forget it.
Oh, God.
Oh, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. Okay, I knew most of them. There was only one that I didn't know. I just don't know the names of songs. I promise you. I just don't know. I'm horrible with the names of songs.
Anyway, I'm going to just let you live on that. You didn't do as good a job as I expect you to do, but it's fine. I can't expect you to know every single thing from back in the day. That 1 year gap that we have is crazy, clearly. It's crazy.
But I just don't know the names of songs. Like, I'm horrible with the names of songs, even to this day. So it's not like just old songs. It's literally almost every song.
I'll leave it on this note. I want to hear your conclusion coming out of this. Do you feel like that year and what we just pushed out is better than other years that you remember? Because in my mind, it probably is going to be the top year we ever covered.
I think that 1990 surprised me, okay, because I didn't realize so many hitters came out in 1990, from movies to TV shows to music. And I really feel like it set the tone for the decade. Like, it was like, this is how we coming out. Okay, let's do this. And it was a good year. It was a good year. I do wish that we could go back to those movie and gas prices. That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
I think this is going to be one of the best years we cover, but I do think this as well. I think 95, 96, and 99 will give this a run for its money. 95 and 96 are crazy years. There's so much that happened in between those years. I think that's when both of us are going to go, oh, Oh, once that nostalgia hits you, it slaps you in the face. And that is the end of our episode. But guys, stay tuned as next week's episode, episode 6, we're going to end up diving into a little bit of how we grew up. Can't wait to see you guys again. Bye.
Bye.